Welcome back to another edition of Driver to Driver, the YouTube version of our podcast.
YouTube probably going forward. This is easy.
Eh,
No, maybe.
for you just show up and smile.
Yeah, you're right. You edited it.
Yeah.
So it's easy.
Yeah. It's easy to him.
But I'm the talent.
I'm Mark Lawver, General Manager of Stokes Trucking, joined by...
Jason Douglas, Director of Retention and Recruiting.
All right, Jason, what were we going to talk about today?
Well, we want to help our drivers maximize their time, in return, maximize their home time safely.
Yeah.
So their time on their road, because when we're hiring people, we're telling them we can get them home weekly, and we can get them 28 to 3,200 miles. And some people come aboard and they go, well, I can't do that. I can't do this, or how is it possible? And it's up to us to kind of educate and show them how they do it our way, because we are set up for that. But there's ways to do it, and there's ways to do it safely. So
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things I've seen last 6 weeks, really, that I've been dispatching is some of our drivers aren't maximizing all their drive time on certain days. And certainly there's things that are going to slow you down, right?
Sure.
Loading, unloading, traffic backups, things like that. But
and weather.
you bet, weather. But if you have the opportunity to drive out, close to your 11, or at least drive until the end of your 14, and you don't, you can't really ever get that time back, right?
Right.
Let's say you've driven 9 hours in one day, you've been at it for 12 hours that day. You've got 2 hours left, really, you could drive, but you stop. That's 2 hours further away from wherever your destination is, if that's your delivery or home, that you're going to start the next day. And some days, that's not a big deal. Some days it is. We ran into this last week. We had some people that got stuck because of weather. And those are the things we can't, right? We can't plan for weather and road closures and detours and things like that. Those just happen. But what we can do is utilize drive time when we have it to utilize. And that can be done. You can park places that are safe. You can do it safely. We do it all the time. But we need drivers to understand we're really trying to help them in the end. We're trying to help them get more out of this job, get
Sure.
more home time, get more production, and do all those things with safety top of mind.
So what would you say to somebody, I receive my dispatch, I'm driver, I get my dispatch, and it delivers Fort Worth, 8 a.m. Wednesday morning.
Okay.
I know I'm going to be there tomorrow night, just hypothetically. What would you say to the person that's like, well, I'm going to totally wink my way down there because I don't got to be down there till Wednesday morning?
Well, you could, right?
Right.
Let's say you get that dispatch and you could get there Tuesday night.
Right.
As if there's parking, let's go ahead and get there, because then that's less drive time you're going to have on Wednesday morning.
Right.
If you stay 2 hours from Fort Worth, now you've used 2 hours of your time, and that's 2 hours at the end of the day on Wednesday you're not going to be able to utilize. So it's 2 hours further from home you're going to be.
Right, and then I guess if you do that on your way back, all of a sudden you're 4 to 6 hours later than you could have been.
If you do that every day, all of a sudden it adds up, and now you're maybe 6 hours behind, and it maybe you get here at the same time, but it's the things we can't plan for, the road closures and weather, and there was some drivers last week that got caught in various weather events, and had they went ahead and driven out the time when they had it available, they may have still got caught in the weather, but they would have been that much further down the road.
Sure.
Right.
I don't know if a lot of our drivers are aware of this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of our loads are booked out a week to 2 weeks at a time.
They are. We quite often we're putting those rounds together, 10 to 14 days in advance. We have a pretty good idea of, well, I'm counting every week.
Right.
Taking care of the Texas thing. The magic number is 16. I want to get to 16 loads going to Texas every week, because I'm reasonably confident we're going to have 16 loads coming home from Texas.
And you're doing that with in mind 28 to 3,200 miles, right?
You bet.
You're picturing that
You bet.
for our drivers because that's
Yeah.
what they want.
Yeah, so just to Fort Worth and back, that's 27-ish, 2,800 miles. But if you do that real efficiently, we can probably come up with some local things on this end to do, or before you ever leave, too.
Right.
That's possible too. Some of our Texas freight changed over the last couple of months, and we're seeing more loads out of there on Mondays and Fridays than we used to, which has, we were kind of used to those loads coming in the middle of the week, and we were home for 2 days on the weekend, and it really hasn't been happening lately. It ebbs and flows, things change.
Sure.
Right? I don't anticipate it's going to be like that forever, but it's like that today, and the drivers have been really good to just roll with that change that we're seeing right now.
What would you say to maximize that 11 hours at the forefront of most of our drivers' mind is parking?
Yeah. Trip plan ahead as much as you can. If where you're going to hit 10 and a half or 10 hours and 45 minutes, if you're not sure if there's parking there, lean on us here in the office. Everyone in the office, with just a couple of exceptions, has driven, and some of us still drive. I was out this weekend. Val went and turned a driver last week. We have been on many of these routes, and we know where there's safe places to park for you and the truck. Lean on that experience. We brought Troy in this time last year specifically to do that, to help drivers purchase fuel properly, route properly, and also help them maximize their production and be safe at the same time.
Absolutely.
Right? He's got almost 40 years of driving. This was a company founded by a truck driver, and he's hired a bunch of other truck drivers to work in the office.
Right.
Lean on us for advice. We're here to help.
I've never once heard anybody get mad at somebody calling for directions or somewhere to fuel here in the office. So I think drivers need to take that into consideration and really utilize, especially like you said, Troy. Troy has gone to those places. He's there for that reason.
Yeah.
If he doesn't know, he's been very good at finding out what he doesn't know and relaying it.
Another resource drivers can use is an app called Trucker Path. It shows you where all the potential parking is. It even updates, as drivers update the app, where there is actually parking. It's only as updated as the drivers have done, right? So it's not gospel, but it's a good guide. It's
Sure.
another tool it's another arrow in your quiver.
Yeah.
To help. And again, lean on Troy, call me, call Mike Larson. He still drives today. We will do our very best to help make sure you're getting where you want to get to, where you ought to get to, and to help you get back that much quicker and work more if you want to.
And one of the really good upsides that maybe not everybody knows is we pay for parking, right? Reserved or non-reserved.
Yep. Yeah, we will pay for parking if you have to pay for a parking spot. We'll pay for showers. Let's say you want to stop at the Loves, but you have 2 more hours on your clock, and the next place down the road is a TA, and you really want to take a shower in the morning, drive to the TA. We will pay for that shower, turn in a receipt, and we will reimburse you. We do that specifically so our drivers can be more productive and feel clean.
Right.
I'm a bit of a clean freak myself when I'm out on the road. That's most of the reason why we started paying for showers is I just think it's the right thing to do.
Sure, drivers don't have to be tied to showering at Love's.
Yeah. Y'all are in your truck 5 or 6 days a week. The least we can do is take care of your shower and your parking.
100%. And that ultimately makes it safer. If you're looking at where you're going to park and you know you already have somewhere down the road, you're not stressing. You're not looking at everywhere.
Absolutely.
You can kind of drive at ease and park somewhere safe.
Yep. Yeah, and always, safety should be top of mind all the time. But I'd much rather see someone get within a couple minutes of their 11 hours than leave 2 hours on the table. or 2.5 hours on the
Because they
table.
were worried about parking or
Yeah,
showers
yeah,
or whatever. Sure.
You're going to be hard pressed to find somewhere in this country where within 2.5 hours down the road, there isn't somewhere else you can park.
Well, and the biggest thing in trucking right now is all the money they're putting into parking.
Yeah.
So that will eventually alleviate some of this, but it's a problem wherever you go. Just because it's a big truck stop doesn't mean it's safe, or it might be even more dangerous.
Well, and the other thing is we are doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? It's pretty rare where we're doing a load that we haven't actually done before. So, you all that are on the same routes over and over, pay attention to where there's potential parking other places than where you have been parking, right? We talked about safety meeting, don't get tunnel vision, and this is the only way it can be done. Think outside of the box. Try and help yourself get further down the road if you can. And if it's someplace you haven't been to before, we have. Ask someone here in the office. Ask Mike or Troy or me or Jimmy. Jimmy still knows where some of the haunts are, right?
Yeah, he does.
Mark Adams, Ty Walker. There's a lot of people in here that have a CDL, and we are here to help. We are here to make your lives easier.
And if you have a route that maybe we don't know about, which is a possibility, bring it up. It's always open for discussion.
Offer up suggestions. If you know of Mike Mann was in here this morning talking about a really good buffet restaurant he went to.
Yep.
I can guarantee you the first time I head to San Antonio, I'm going to ask Mike where that buffet was.
See it, the $13 all you can eat. Line your pockets.
Hard to tell, but I like food.
But yeah, and I think of all of our drivers and the experience that we have, they all have secrets and,
You bet.
and places to park, and we have places that let us park early that are safe and ways to get in there. So I think the last thing I wanted to ask you was, as drivers are going down the road, instead of stopping early, should they ask dispatch about parking at a customer, or what should they do there?
You bet. So at the beginning of the week, when you get your dispatch, look at it and think about where you're going to get to and where you want to end up, right? And the end goal is always to get back home as quickly and safely as possible. But you got to think about where you're going to fuel, where you're going to spend the night, where you're going to take your breaks, where you're going to eat. Do you need to get anything, right? There's all these things. So sit down with your map or with your phone and let's plan out your week. You can ask Troy, you can ask me. We will offer you advice. Richland Center, Wisconsin. I'll just throw this one out there. A lot of times, sometimes the drivers go up and load it themselves and go. A lot of times they pick it up right here preloaded. We've loaded it for them. If I'm picking up a trailer right here going to Richland Center, Wisconsin, day number one, I'm going to try and get to at least North Platte, Nebraska. North Platte or Gothenburg, Nebraska, I can do that driving a 65, 70 mile an hour truck, no problem. If I'm going to park in North Platte, I want to try and get there early because the truck stops do fill up. So I'll want to leave early in the day. Day number two, I know I can get all the way through Iowa. I'll probably fuel in Aurora, Nebraska, Newton, Iowa, somewhere like that. Depends on what the prices are doing. But I'm not going to stay in Iowa. I'm going to get on up into Wisconsin. There's a couple quick trips within about an hour of Richland Center. You can't quite drive all the way to Richland Center. You may be able to, but it's tight. But you can get within an hour to an hour and a half of Richland Center. I'll get up to that quick trip and I'll park. And then day three now, you're only driving an hour, right? Where if I stayed in Newton, Iowa, or I stayed in Cedar Rapids, now I'm 3.5 hours from Richland Center. And I've left a couple hours on the table the day before, right? Well, the day I'm delivering now, I don't have those 2 hours available to me because I left them the day before.
So you're leaving hours the day before and that day.
Yeah. It's kind of the old adage, don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. That advice that we all got from our parents still holds true, especially in this industry.
Well, and every hour that you leave on the table on the road is an hour that you could have at home.
Potentially. I mean, it just depends.
It's a good rule of thumb, I guess.
Theoretically, now you're backing your day up every day. You're starting earlier and earlier, and that can be problematic too. You want to try and I know a lot of us want to call BS on circadian rhythms, but you really want to try and start kind of the same time every day. You get up the same time every day, right?
Yeah, I do. I don't call BS on that.
I do too. I'm most productive when I have a regular start time every day.
Yep.
So instead of leaving time on the table and starting 2 hours earlier the next day, I'm going to try and drive that time out and start roughly the same time the next day. It might be a little earlier, but at least it won't be 3 hours earlier,
Yeah,
maybe.
because most of the time our freight's the same.
We're
and set up
pretty
the same,
regular.
right?
It's pretty
100%.
regular around here. It's Groundhog's Day every day.
Best day of the year. Every day.
No. Christmas.
Christmas, sorry.
No, not Christmas either.
Don't say
Labor Day.
Labor Day.
First weekend of the fall. College football.
Yeah, Labor Day is good.
It's not too hot.
Hot
usually.
dogs.
Yeah,
RC Woolly
I'm not a
sales.
big hot dog guy, but whatever floats your boat, Jason.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us again for another episode of Driver to Driver, the video version.
Drive safe.